This is the 3D VIEW-MASTER story of Asterix and Cleopatra. VIEW-MASTER Reel 1, Picture 1, Alexandria, the capital of Cleopatra, Queen of Egypt. Caesar, who is the Queen's guest, talks despicably of her people, which she says are now unworthy of the great builders of the days of the pyramids and the Sphinx. Pursing her nose, which, by the way, is very pretty, Cleopatra retorts with a challenge. In 90 days, Caesar, I will have a fabulous palace built. Very well, replies Caesar. If you win your wager, my queen, I shall admit that your people are still a great people. Picture 2. Once alone, Cleopatra immediately summons Edifice, the famous Alexandria architect, which, by the way, doesn't mean much. I want a palace for Julius Caesar, she says. You have 90 days, succeed and you will be rich. If you don't, the crocodiles will have a treat. And so we find poor Edifices with his back against the wall, quite sure that he will finish in the stomach of a crocodile. Saved, he cried out suddenly. Magic will help me. I will go to Gaul and find Getafix the Druid. Picture 3. It is bitterly cold and snowing when Cleopatra's architect arrives at the village of the indomitable Gauls, just in time to see the druid Getafix climbing down a tree with a load of mistletoe. Edifice throws himself at his feet and cries out how happy he is to meet him once again. The druid, who met the Egyptian on the banks of the Nile in the past, greets him warmly and invites him to share his meal with Asterix and Obelix. Picture 4. What brings you here, O Edifice, my friend? I am scared of crocodiles, that's what. Oh, Getafix. The Egyptian then tells him all about the job the queen has instructed him to do. Without Getafix magic, he will never make it. The druid at once agrees to accompany him to Egypt. Wasn't he in any case about to undertake a trip to Alexandria to do some studying? It goes without saying that his faithful friends Asterix and Obelix will go along with him, without forgetting, of course, their little dog and mascot, Dogmatix. Picture 5. After a slap-up meal, the group embarks on the Nepadelis, which brought the architect to Gaul. On board, our friends talk about the dangers that are awaiting them in Egypt and even maybe at sea. Edifice also fears the talent of his rival, Artifice, who, out of jealousy, will do all he can to prevent him from succeeding. As for the pirates of the seas, they are only small fry for our goals. At last, after an uneventful crossing, they catch sight of the Alexandria lighthouse on the horizon, one of the 7 wonders of the world. Land! Land! Cries out Edifice. Tomorrow we will be at home. Picture 6. Along with Ex Libris, his multilingual scribe, the architect takes our friends to the building site. Work is in full swing. Teams of workers are dragging huge blocks to stone under the cracking of the whips. Why the whips, wonder our friends. Slaves, no doubt. But no, they are free men. In our country, the whip is simple there to encourage them in their work. The walls and the pillars of the new palace already rise from the sand. A good start, but picture 7. An intruder, the architect artifice, creeps into the ranks of edifice workers, urging them to go on strike if the number of whiplashes is not reduced. Altogether, the workers cross their arms at the same time, to the despair of Edifice, who already pictures himself as the crocodile's next meal. But Getafix is shocked. What manners! I have a way of making men work without the help of the whip. VIEW-MASTER Reel 2, picture 8. And Getafix hurries to prepare a big cauldron of his magic potion, which he proposes to serve out to the workers. Results are guaranteed. Watch, he says, giving the first spoonful to Asterix. By Osiris, our little goal starts to juggle with blocks of rock. Bedazzled, the workers quail up, impatient to taste some of this miracle potion. The effects are immediate. In no time, the blocks are carried away as if they were mere crumbs of bread, lifted at arm's length and thrown on to the walls with a slap of the hand. Picture 9. The palace rises in a jiffy, at a diabolical rhythm marked by songs, laughter and gibes. If only Artifice could see this, sneers Edifice. But the wretch is not missing a bit of it. Hiding behind a rock, he's watching this witchcraft scene with rage. At this rhythm, Edifice's triumph is certain. I must put a stop to all this, he snarls, and he calls Crooked his faithful servant. Picture 10. The druid has decided to go to admire the tombs of the pharaohs, and we find our tourists at the foot of the pyramids. But they have been spied on by the cunning Crooked, Artifice spy, who is about to play them an abominable trick. He invites them to visit the inside of the pyramids, which our friends trustingly accept. Only little Dogmatics is not going in with them. Wait for us, and I give you a nice bone, promises Obelix. Having made our amateur archaeologists enter the great sarcophagus room to show them the hieroglyphics, the while Crooked blocks the only exit. There they are prisoners. Picture 11. Walled in alive, luckily, Getafix never runs short of ideas. He always has his magic potion on him. 3 drops will do the trick, Obelix. And now open the door. This is child's play for our manna supplier. The enormous rock is smashed to smithereens. But if the door is open, they have still to find a way out of the labyrinth. Hours go by. The magus has to admit his defeat. Patience. Safety is at hand. Attracted by the promise of the bone, Dogmatix enters the pyramid and makes short work of finding the prisoners, who have only to follow him. Long live freedom. Picture 12. But Artifice has sworn he would send the ghouls to their doom. He has a poisoned cake sent to Cleopatra on their behalf. His trick succeeds. The queen has the cake tasted and discovers the poison. Our friends protest their innocence, but to no avail. Unyielding, she orders them to be arrested. They will be the crocodile's hors d'oeuvre. Do not worry, says Getafix. By the prettiest nose in the world, I still have 1 or 2 tricks up my sleeve. Picture 13. Immediately after being locked up, Getafix prepares a powerful antidote as a cocktail before the lethal cake. Having broken down the iron gate of their cell, our indomitable ghosts burst into Cleopatra's room. "Oh, my queen, this cake must be delicious," they protest. "Eat it then," replied the queen. Immunized by the antidote, our friends eat it to the last crumb. Picture 14. Freed, our heroes learn about Oedipus' disappearance. Suspecting Oedipus of having kidnapped him, they go to search his home. This comes as a surprise to Oedipus, who can't help crying out, "By Osiris, I thought you would have all been in the crocodile's stomachs by now." These words give him away. The panic-stricken spy Crocod confesses that the architect is hidden in a sarcophagus, wrapped up like a mummy. Our friends swiftly free him. VIEW-MASTER Reel 3, Picture 15. But let's see what Caesar is up to. Having learned from Cleopatra that the work has progressed at an unbelievable rate, he sends a spy to the building site. He returns absolutely flabbergasted. "Oh, Caesar, if the palace is already with a roof, it is thanks to a magic potion which can lift mountains." An old druid, helped by 2 other ghouls, serves it out each morning to the workers. "By Jupiter," cries Caesar, "them again, the indomitable ghouls, to arms." Picture 16. In the early morning, the Romans encircle the building site, driving back the workers in the name of Caesar. A centurion clamors for the surrender of the 3 ghouls. "We are here and we will stay here," shouts Asterix. Our friends at once begin to improvise their defense. Just on time too, for legionaries are attacking in close ranks, 5 by 5, protected on every side by their shields. Following Tortor tactics, they storm the position where victies. Picture 17. An avalanche of rocks flattens the Tortor, forcing the Romans to rout. But they do not consider themselves beaten and charge once again, this time deploying. But in vain. Our trio is invincible, and the soldiers who return to their centurion, adopting the tactics of the hare, are a poor sight indeed, lame, crippled and bruised. The centurion then orders the start of the bombing of the besieged with frightening war machines. "Alea jacta est, my palace, they are destroying my palace," moans Oedipus. Picture 18. Asterix, having managed to get through the Roman lines, reveals the Romans' treason to the queen, who immediately decides to go and ask Caesar to do some explaining. So she arrives hurriedly at the building site, sitting on a throne carried by slaves and escorted by Theban trumpeters, dancers and gladiators. She casts the consul of Gaul a withering look. "What is the meaning of this stupid battle, Caesar? I summon you to leave my Gauls in peace and to repair the damage." Picture 19. Everything is well again. Looking blank, Caesar can do nothing else but yield. Finally, Oedipus and his friends tell Cleopatra that the palace is finished. "O Queen of Queens, today is the 90th day, and I have carried out your orders." Picture 20. "By Helios, Oedipus, I shall thus keep my promise. Let him be covered in gold." And the architect, bowing before the queen, disappears under an enormous pile of this precious metal. Asterix, Obelix, and Getafix are also honored. The Druid is presented with a badge of rare manuscripts from the Alexandria Library. The next day there is a great party on the banks of the Nile. The queen triumphantly hands Caesar the keys of her palace, the proof of the intact genius of her people. Picture 21. A few days later, our friends return home on board a royal galley. A sumptuous cruise they will not forget before long. At the village, a fantastic spread is waiting for them on the green lawn. The next day, Obelix resumes his humble task of carving menhirs, which our friends look at with astonishment.